We are back here on SportsLine. We had a caller off the air during the break ask for a comparison between Vince Young and Marcus Mariota as the Titans quarterback. Talked a lot about Mariota. His jersey sales are up. Team progressing in the positive direction. A lot of that is because of the confidence in him and being the franchise quarterback. I'll give you the stats in just a moment. One thing, though, we get this all the time. People want to call up, and I'm not saying this caller wanted to do this and like stick up for Vince Young necessarily, but we get people all the time who want to call in and talk about Vince Young. And that blows my mind. I don't understand the infatuation with Vince Young. He was drafted over a decade ago. In 2006, he was enigmatic, to say the best, both in personality and play on the field. He wore out his welcome in 5 years here. He couldn't see the field in Philadelphia, hasn't been able to catch on in Buffalo or Green Bay or anywhere else in the National Football League. He just got cut in the CFL earlier this summer. This is not a good football player, and he never was in the NFL. Now, he was a superstar at Texas, and what he did in that national championship game is the stuff of legend there and throughout college football. But he was not a good player in the National Football League. Statistically, he wasn't a good teammate. He just wasn't the answer. You can point to the drafting of Vince Young and kind of the strong arm move by Bud Adams to get a Texas guy in to play quarterback here against the best wishes of Jeff Fisher and a lot of that coaching staff. You can point to that move as really the spiral downhill for the Titans of the last decade. When you draft a quarterback with the 3rd overall pick and you whiff, you set your franchise back. And the fact that they drafted him and struck out, and then they had to go after another quarterback in Jake Locker in 2011, and that didn't work out either. You're talking about 2 misses on top 10 picks that are quarterbacks in the span of 6 seasons. You can't do that. You can't do that in the NFL and expect to be any good. And the fact that they failed led them to futility for a long time. So I guess I just wonder where all the Vince Young questions come from, because he wasn't a good player here. And so I don't get the fascination of fans at times who want to keep bringing him up or compare people to him. If you want to compare somebody in a Titans uniform at the quarterback position, compare guys to Steve McNair. He's the best quarterback to put on the two-tone blue. Now, I think Marcus Mariota has a chance to be better than that long term. But if we're going to do comparisons, let's do that comparison. Because Vince Young is not the guy you want Marcus Mariota to be compared to. But just to do it, to appease the caller, Marcus Mariota through 2 seasons in the National Football League has been a 62% and change passer. Vince Young, through parts of 6 seasons in the NFL, has been a 57.9% passer. Advantage Mariota. Through 2 seasons in the NFL, Mariota has thrown for nearly 6,000 yards. In parts of 6 seasons, Vince Young has thrown for 9,000. Advantage Mariota. In 6 seasons in the NFL, Vince Young threw 46 touchdown passes and 51 interceptions. In 2, Marcus Mariota has 45 touchdown passes, just one shy of what Young did in his entire career in 2 seasons. one of those seasons quarterbacking a 3-13 football team, and he has 19 interceptions to this point. The only stat that possibly goes to Vince Young's favor in any quarterback comparison is the fact that in 50 career starts, he has a record of 31-19. Most of that here early in his time in Tennessee, when, oh, by the way, the Titans were pretty good. I don't know how much of that was Vince Young and how much of that the supporting cast was great. The question maybe would have been, if you had a better quarterback, if you put Marcus Mariota on those teams in 2007 and 2008, are we talking about a team that goes to another Super Bowl or an AFC Championship game, makes a run in the playoffs? Maybe. What we do know is those really good teams in those years with Vince Young at quarterback didn't do anything in the playoffs, and then missed the playoffs, and missed the playoffs again, and he was a distraction, and then he was gone. These comparisons and the fact that people want to drudge it up, I mean, again, he's more than a decade out of school. He's early 30s at this point of his life. How many more years do we keep asking the question about Vince Young? He's a very small piece of this franchise, and even its time here in Tennessee at this point. And he's way down the list in terms of productive quarterbacks. If you want to make the real comparison to Mariota, look at Steve McNair early in his career. That's where you want to find out how he's stacking up, because McNair went on to do things with the Titans. And that's what you hope Mariota can do over his time. All right, the SEC Media Days are going on down in Hoover. By the way, you can join in on this conversation. Titans, college football, whatever. 615-737-7767, the number, and our phone lines are wide open, so no wait if you want to get in. SEC Media Days going on down in Hoover. Today it was Vanderbilt's turn. Head coach Derek Mason meeting with the media today. He had some enthusiasm and some confidence, I think. This team coming off of an Independence Bowl berth last year in year 3 as a head coach at Vanderbilt. I think he's feeling more comfortable in his own skin. I mean, remember, he's a first-time head coach coming from the defensive side of the ball at Stanford to Vanderbilt. I think he had to learn a little bit on the job. I think he had to grow into this position a little bit. But he did a really good job last year, and that team got to a bowl game. They've recruited well this offseason in a big way. I think he's starting to get things rolling over there at Vanderbilt. And kudos to the administration for really kind of giving him support when he started off a bit rocky. Kudos to the fans that stuck with him. And kudos to Derek Mason for realizing that things did not go well in year 1. And then he needed to make some changes to his coaching staff, to the way he approached things, to the way he approached recruiting. All of those moves seem to have paid off. And now last year they get into a bowl game, and he comes into this season with a veteran team. A lot of juniors and seniors that have played key roles over the past couple of years. And I think he expressed that confidence today when he met with the media down in Hoover. Let's take a listen.
Matt Stevens, Montgomery Advertiser. Derek, obviously there's the rule change with the field goal blocking rule, and let's be honest, people are going to call that the Zach Cunningham rule. Your thoughts on the rule change, and do you think it restricts somebody from making an athletic play on a football field?
You know, those plays make college football great, in my opinion. But, you know, here's the thing. It always starts with player safety. And that's what we always have to get back to, is player safety. I think that's the spirit of the rule, is making sure, that we can keep guys from landing on top of guys or going top over, tea kettle and landing on heads. And again, for me, I'm always about being within the rules. That's what we have to do. That's what it's about. That's what makes our game great. I truly believe we're getting better. We're getting closer. But for me, the play's in the vault, so hopefully I can go back and cue it up on my VCR. Did I just say VCR? Oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. Cue it up on my DVR, okay, and see it from time to time.
Left side here, front row.
Coach, two-part question.
Right.
First, the end of the Tennessee game last year, your interview with Cole. Did you rehearse that before, or was that just kind of a spur of the moment? And then also the now famous vests. How did those come about?
Well, the interview was spur of the moment. Believe me, if you're around me, it's spur of the moment. If you know me, I am who I am. I try to be who I am all the time. I try to be consistent, and so that's just me. Energy, excited. I can remember 3 years ago, what it looked like after my first game. So, man, to be able to feel the joy of that game in the midst of that was, tremendous. And so, what you saw was genuine love, excitement, passion. That's what it is. The vest, that's a whole nother story. That vest, man, that vest taking on a life of its own. It's got its own Twitter account that I never read. Like the vest was just something that came about because I was cold and I didn't want to wear a jacket. So, I put on a vest. Our fan base liked it. It had Vanderbilt on it. Everybody said they wanted one. It moved us in the right direction, and you know what? The movement is still going. So, Nike has told me I can't wear it in 2017. Per our agreement, it got too much play. So, but I may break it out. I'm a bandit every once in a while. I think I may break it out. We'll see.
Right side, second row.
Hey, Derek. Scott Griffin, Birmingham. What do you try to implement that lets the Northwesterns, the Dukes, the Stanfords be successful with the things that they have? You're kind of mirrored a little bit like that. What do you carry over, and what are you trying to let us in on that a little bit?
Well, I think you have to, first of all, it starts with your mentality. David Shaw, I've been around David a long time. His process is very unique. He's specific. He went to Stanford University. He understands what that is. When you talk about Fitz, being up at Northwestern, he's been in that program. He understands, who they are, and he's never apologized for being at Northwestern. He's taken on the tough challenges. I think those are things for me that I've had to come to grips with and move around and sort of mold and bring ourselves into this program into a little bit, is just understanding who we are. When I talk about RTI, when I talk about relentless, tough, and intelligent, that's who we are. That's what we want to be. We're blue collar. People may think differently about Vanderbilt because it's a private university, but you come watch us practice, you come watch how my program is run, it's blue collar. And part of that comes from Jim Harbaugh and understanding, and how he helped shape that Stanford program when I was there. So I think what you do is you look at the pieces of who you are, you try to bring it into a metaphor, give it an identity, and then start to grow your brand. And that's what we try to do organically, is grow our brand. And right now, this thing is on the rise. Vanderbilt's on the rise. You can look at it from recruiting to where we're at football-wise, to what we've done on the academic side of it. And that's what Vanderbilt wants to be.
Left side here, front row.
Dick Cox, Cox Sports Broadcasting. Coach, what does it mean to you and your program actually, I guess, getting that monkey off your back, getting bowl eligible last year?
I think anytime you make a bowl, especially for the first time in your tenure, okay, it's validation of the hard work. See, if all you do is work hard, but there's nothing at the end of it, okay, it just leads to when a group of young men, and not really understanding your vision or why we do the things we do. It helps them understand why we get up at 5:45 in the morning. Okay, it helps them understand that nobody really cares about your GPA across campus, because you got to compete 268 days a year over there, and then come over to the football facility and play in a conference where nobody's going to give an owl's hoot, okay, man, about what your GPA is. Okay, it validates who we are, how we work, the idea of being relentless, tough, and intelligent. And so now, man, these guys see it as a movement. Okay, they've gotten behind the movement. The movement's got legs. It's sort of a crawl, walk, run mentality. And right now, we're just starting to stand up on one leg, and hopefully we can get the other leg up and start keep it moving in the direction that we need it to go. I mean, these guys are extremely excited about where we're at, and right now I think it's the tip of the iceberg.
A lot of excitement about this Vanderbilt team coming off of that bowl trip last year to the Independence Bowl, and with a lot of guys back, hopes for even more things than 6 wins in 2017. Got to take a break. When we come back, we'll go to Rocky Top and hear from Butch Jones from yesterday's SEC Media Days as well. Stay tuned. You're watching SportsLine here on News Channel 5+.